Well, howdy folks, Hellcracks here, and welcome to episode 107 of Mercenary Thoughts from the Inner Sphere, from the Inner Sphere perspective of looking at the clans and their nastiness. And today we're talking about another invasive species, the Fenris, aka the Ice Ferret, as it slithers around, sneaking in and out of everything that's causing problems. This is another very fast medium mech that falls under, I like to call it another clan scout. That's very heavy scout. Now, it's got some pretty good stuff with it. It can do the job. Now, the Fenris is a 45-ton mech, carries around 9.5 tons of pod space for doing all of its goodness and nastiness on the battlefield. Now, the Fenris has Indo-Steel chassis, so it's a lot lighter. It's an 8-12-0, so it's similar to the Dragonfly when it comes to maneuverability, getting around on the battlefield, but doesn't carry those jump jets that you would find with the Dragonfly. So if you want something that can get around a lot better, go with the Dragonfly, and the armament is just slightly less. You're talking just a ton, 1 ton of difference. But if you want something that's got a little bit more meat to it, then go with the Fenris. And when it comes to battle value, I have a tendency to say let's see, there's what difference of 200, basically 200. Kind of the difference between carrying some battle infantry or not. So let that kind of sink in a little bit when it's just the basic value of it. Now, like I said, it's 8-12-0, has 12 double heat sinks, which are found on the engine, and a couple stuck on the chassis. And let's see where we got those. I think they're in the torso, right torso, left torso. Okay, we got 2 engines in the left torso, right torso, 2 engines. And nope, they're all on the engine. Okay. And then there's nothing available. They put Indo-Steel in the leg, so you're not going to find any jump jets possibly. And if you want to put jump jets in the leg or any heat sinks, you won't find them there. Okay. Now, this is one of those mechs that's very fast. It gets around pretty good. You can look at the tabletop if you're playing open terrain or on hex maps, trying to figure out what's the best way to attack with this thing. Or if you're looking at your opponent's perspective, what's the route that they're going to take? Because if they're inner sphere, like I've said before, they're going to be trying to do as much cover as possible, using their scouts to their best advantage to do indirect fire with any LRM support that they may have, and just taking pot shots as they get close enough, because the engagement when it comes to with clans versus inner sphere, if I'm playing clans, I'm going to keep the distance, I'm going to keep them at bay, don't let them close as best you can, and then use my advantage of long range firepower. And they, on the other hand, want to get in close and close the door and get a hold of you and basically get into a rugby scrum, because that's where their weapons are best, almost point blank range. And then they'll typically, from my own personal experience, once you get into the rugby scrum, there's punching, kicking, biting, all that other goodness. All right, so let's just look at the different configurations of this thing. The Fenris, the Prime, carries an SRM-2 in the right arm with a ton of ammo. Left arm has that wonderful, lovely ER PPC and an ER small laser and an active beagle probe. So when you're seeing it has a beagle probe, it's basically, like I said, it's a scout. It falls under the scout aspect of it with the Prime version, is that you're looking for hidden units that might be out there hidden, because a lot of times when you're playing against the inner sphere, you're going to be facing a lot of infantry, and if you're playing a lot of scenario rules where they can be hidden in buildings and not showing themselves until you're known, you're going to need a probe to root those little buggers out and let them know, hey, they're over here, let's give it to them. So The Prime version is something that can sit off at long range and snipe with that ERPPC until the inner sphere mechs get close enough that then, okay, you're still using all your speed with a 812. Hopefully you're trying to get the most out of it and get that 4 modifier so you can not get shot at as much. Because once you got a 4 modifier versus something that's a little bit easier target back there, you're going to shoot at the easier target. So make yourself the hardest target to hit. Move. Because when you slow down a light or medium mech, especially ones with lots of XL engines, you kill them quickly. Okay, so then when you get in close, obviously you're going to throw that streak in there. That's a fire and forget. So this thing dissipates 24 heat. And let's see, we got 17. Yeah, there's no way this thing ever heats up. The Prime version is a very cool mech. It runs very nice and AC. Now we got the Alpha version. Configuration. It has an ER medium laser in the right arm, anti-missile system in the right arm with a ton of ammo, an LBX-2 in the left arm with a ton of ammo and an ER medium laser. So we're looking at 10, 14. Yeah, it's like this thing's another mech that has all those extra heat sinks for cooling it off, and it does. So the Alpha and the Prime version run pretty cool. With the LBX-2, that's your shotgun mode, so that can help a little bit with doing crits, but you got to roll an 8 or better to get 2 1-point shots if you're doing the shotgun mode. So yeah, it's or I guess it's on the 2 cluster, so it's about the same thing. And I'm not a big fan of the LBX cannon. I personally would rather have like an ER large laser instead. You know, because this thing can handle the heat. Because if you put an ER large laser instead of the LBX cannon, then you turn around and have the 2 ER medium lasers. So you're looking at 20, 22, 24 heat possibly, and you can dissipate that. So that can run pretty cool. I just thoughts that go through my head when I look at that version. So I'm not a big fan of the Alpha version personally. Okay, we got the Charlie version, or Bravo version, sorry. Got to move back up the chart there. Alright, we have an SRM-6 in the right arm with a ton of ammo. We got an SRM-4 in the left arm with a ton of ammo. ER large laser in the left arm, and center torso we have a small pulse laser. For when you get in behind somebody or into the flank, you can hit them with that little pulse laser and get some modifiers in your favor. Now, this is what I call the crit hunter. Is you're closing in, you're hitting them with that large laser, and then you're tearing armor off, and then you're usually wolf packing up, most likely, and you're tearing down a mech, so you're going to have some holes in it. Then you hit them with the 2 SRMs. So personally, I think I would have rather had let's say 2 SRM-4s with 1 ton of ammo between the 2 of them, and then you put another ER medium laser or something for the difference. But or yeah, upgrade the or like an ER small or something. But it's one of those things where you pick your target and then you just keep hammering and hammering and hammering, where you're crit hunting with all the SRMs. So it's a little 2-point blocks that are just bang, 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 and hopefully you find the holes or niches in the armor there, or chinks in the armor. So then you just start pumping crits into the enemy and hopefully hit ammo, because the inner sphere doesn't have case until the 3050, and the initial contact before, most of them don't have it anyway. So you get to look at a lot of different ones of the inner sphere mechs, and you're going to hammer most likely, a lot of times the quickest way to kill an inner sphere mech is just hit ammo, because they carry a lot of it. Especially if you don't do the house roll like we do, you hit machine gun ammo, it does 200 points of damage, And the odds are you haven't even shot the darn thing once. So, yeah, we typically take the machine gun ammo, divide it by 10, round down, and that's how much damage it's going to do. But that's a house rule for us. So I just can't see how machine gun ammo does that much damage. Okay, then we have the Charlie version. Has an LRM-5 with Artemis. With a ton of ammo. Then another LRM-5 in the left arm with Artemis and a ton of ammo in the left arm. Left torso has an LRM with Artemis. And then we're putting a lot of tonnage into Artemis here. And then an ER small laser. I'd say you're looking at, possibly would have been better off with a couple of LRM-10s. But, you know, you got 3 LRM-5s with Artemis on board. And each one carries a ton of ammo. So this thing can go 24 turns. But it's, your odds are you're going to be a little, you know, you're typically probably going to do 3 points damage. So this is more of a harassment type indirect fire or direct fire mech. So you're running around the corners, hitting the flanks and stuff, and then just plinking away. Now you might be good in from the aspect of hitting vehicles. So when you hit a vehicle, you're raining down. You may do like a 3-point shot, but you're getting those motive hits and turning vehicles into pillboxes, or getting a lucky turret hit and getting a chance critical. So that might be one way to look at how to use that thing for the best advantage. So that's kind of like how I like to consider that one. And that's at 1200. So this one could easily carry for 1200 points. For the difference, you could throw in a bunch of battle armor with it. So it carries into battle some infantry at point of elementals. Alright, so then we look at the Delta version. We got the 2 medium pulse lasers in the right arm. We got a anti-missile system left arm with a ton of ammo. Then left arm carries a medium pulse laser, and then a medium pulse laser in the center torso. So we got 4 medium pulse lasers. This is a very good one. Yeah, you're only up to 18, maybe 20 heat. So it's not that bad. This is the one I like to use if I'm considering an anti-scout role. This is your hunter killer type one. So you're moving as fast as you can, and you're facing off against scouts. So obviously, probably going to have just as good of modifiers for the movement, but those pulse lasers are going to be helping that swing into your favor, where you get a couple good hits with some pulse lasers on your typical inner sphere light mech, and you may, if you're lucky to hit a leg or a torso or something, you're blowing off weapons or something of that nature, because the armor's not there, and you basically shut down pretty quickly their scouting rolls. So it's kind of like one of those ones I like to use to hunt down stuff and execute anything when it comes to the scouts. So that's a very nice one. I like the Delta version quite a bit. And that's the one I like to wolf pack up with a couple other ones, especially if you have a Ryokin or two. Yeah. Alright. Then we got the Echo version here. It has an ER medium laser, an ER small, an ATM-9 with a ton of ammo. So, yeah, or 3 tons of ammo. 1400. So that's one. It's getting a little expensive, but you know, you could throw some elementals in there if you want to. But with that ATM-9, say that 10 times fast, 3 tons of ammo to go with it, you're going to be able to use the 3 different modes with it. So you can hit somebody from extreme range, you can hit them in medium range where some good damage up to 18. And then if you get into that 20, heck, you hit them with the 3 blockers. Oh, ouch. And if all 9 hit, yeah, that's not going to be fun for them at all. And they're going to be wondering, why did I get out here on the battlefield today? So that's kind of a long-range sniper, and it does have some good weaponry, so if something does close, You know, I have a tendency to look at something like that. It's like, okay, I can sit back and outside the ranges of anybody, so I don't have to worry about them shooting. I can just park myself, not move, and use the ATM-9 at extended range and hammer them away, doing some good damage to them while they're closing. And then I can just kick it into high gear and start flying across the battlefield till I get into the shorter ranges and start hitting with the like the S-arm versions of it. So that's pretty decent there. Then we got the H version. Wonder what happened to the F and G. They're not to be seen. We got 2 heavy medium lasers in the right arm, double heat sink, and adds another one in the right torso, an ER large laser in the left arm with an S-arm 6 in the left arm and a ton of ammo. So this one is one of those ones where as you're closing up, so you do 20 points. Yeah, so you got 20 points and you got that extra heat sink. So you're dissipate 26, and if you run, that's what. So you don't have to worry too much about heat with this one. You could even fire the SRM when it's up close and not have to worry about the heat problems very much. So it's one of those ones where you tear the armor off of them, and then when you get close enough with that SRM, you hit them with the SRM, and then you're doing hopefully some crit hunting with it, and they're not going to be liking it too much when it comes to that. And then, like I said, if you wolf pack them up with a couple other ones, heck, if you had, let's say, 2 of these and a D or something, a couple Ds, that would be a heck of a force. And then throw in like a dragonfly or something, or hopefully, or heck, we go back to running with like say a Puma with its 16 tons, like I always call those gunships or something, because they got a lot of weapon tonnage. They can sit back and rip the armor off with some heavier weapons, and then these guys will just tear off the rest, and you get the crit hunters coming up the rear with it. So it's like the order of operations: use the bigger guns first, rip the most armor off, then the medium guns, rip more armor off, and then you hit them with all the SRMs and the small stuff, small fries, that do the best crits for you. So that's kind of like how I always like to look at everything. And this is one of those mechs where I think it's like a half ton, maybe like 150. Yeah, it's like almost a half ton short of full max armor on this thing, so it can take some punishment. And then we got the L version. We got a plasma cannon. Then we got 20 rounds to go with that for 2 tons. Then we got 3 AP Gauss rifles in the left arm with 2 tons of ammo, and then a targeting computer. Nasty. That one can do pretty good. That's kind of like one of those ones where you can start nuking elementals pretty decently with that. It does have the capability to shoot some infantry, or you just rush this thing in fast as you can, get in behind or into a flank of a herding mech, and then just, if you're in the rear, getting some unfortunate love from the rear, and they're going to be hurting. And you can tear some armor off. A lot of times, though, is it necessarily have to get in the rear, because you're hitting usually fresh armor, so you might be better off a lot of times trying to focus it down a right or left flank type thing. Get in and behind them, or get in the sides and focus fire in that way, and getting your crits. So your mileage merit, this situation may dictate what happens, or you need to do it best, but that's kind of like how I look at it, is that always be thinking a turn or 2 ahead. And if you're trying to, say you're facing a Fenris, it's got a lot of speed. And I've said this before, the inner sphere has an advantage. You can buy a lot of cheap infantry to use them as point sinks when it comes to initiative, and forcing these faster moving mechs to move first, so you can put them where you want them. Or if you have a whole bunch of hovercraft that are really cheap, when it comes to that. You can try to force them to move more, make more turns, so they have to burn up a lot of their movement, so you slow them down, because this doesn't have jump jets on it. So you just kind of create a wall or an L-shaped wall or something with some quick hovercraft, get in there and slam the door on them, say, okay, I got to turn, and they just burn through 3 or 4, maybe even 5 of their movement points trying to get out of the situation, and then you slowed them down, maybe 1 point, maybe 2 points worth of movement they don't have, and as a result you have a better chance of hitting them. And if you can hit a light mech or a medium mech, that, you know, with these guys, they have some decent armor, but you get a couple good hits from some autocannons or some PPCs or even a couple LRM 15s or 20s, and you'll knock these guys down pretty quickly. And that is basically how you handle them in a lot of ways. That's the advantage of the Inner Sphere, is they got cheap units. It's kind of like you can buy a lot of equipment, mechs, infantry, vehicles, which is a large quantity. So quantity is a quality of all its own, versus the high-tech stuff that you're going to find with the clans. And they have the advantage when it comes to equipment, but you can negate a lot of that with just sheer numbers and hurting them. You can try to hurt them to where you want them to be. All right, if that makes any sense. So that's everything in a nutshell when it comes to the Fenris. It's not a bad mech. I like using it. It gets used a lot of times when I'm playing with my wolves, clan wolf. It's like, yeah, when it comes to playing the clans, my first clan is Clan Wolf, and then it's the Ghost Bears, and then Jade Falcon. So those are the 3 that I always like to put together. And lately it's been a lot of Clan Wolf that I've been working on. So hopefully you will see everything comes out here in the mix in the next few times. If you've got any questions or anything, hopefully I can get to them. Alright, this is Hulkrix, and you guys have a good one.